traffic problem. Try to go down there and straight here. Phil.
And it's right now, the traffic's not that bad. You get in the wrong time, you might have to wait 2 times before you get through that light.
She's always talking in Phil's store.
Read all is good.
He catches her.
And I see Phil, if I see Phil before he sees me, I go the other way.
She does the same thing.
No, you can't get away from
Jeff did
it.
today.
It's nothing bad, it just,
Time to go home.
It's just Phil.
yeah, it just can't get away from it.
I only know one daughter.
You. Reverend Agnew, I got the utmost respect for him.
Nice guy.
About the call to order, the Oklahoma State regular meeting of the Martin Ferry City Council. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for the prayer by the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we ask your blessing tonight on this council meeting. Grant our city leaders the wisdom, patience, and understanding to make the best decisions for our city and its people. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Hopper.
Here.
Mr. Ashwood. Here. Mrs. Armstrong. Here. Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Nyman.
Here.
Reverend Agnew.
Here.
Mr. Chair.
Here.
You should all receive copies of the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, then they will stand approved as received. Do we have any correspondence? Then we'll move on to reports of officers of the city. The mayor did tell me that he would be unable to attend this evening. He has a conflicting meeting. If anything big came up, we could call him. So I'm assuming that that won't be necessary, but you're duly notified. Before we go on to reports, I did want to remind everyone, for the sake of the press, that early voting has already started. I encourage everyone to vote. We have 2 issues, as well as local and federal, of course, elections this year. And I just encourage everyone to get out. If you have questions, feel free to call the election board. In town, of course, up at the school is where we would vote. So if anyone had any questions, just feel free to call the election board and they'll be glad to answer your questions. And having said that, then we'll move on to reports of officers of the city, and we'll start with the safety service director.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll try to keep it quick and to the point. First thing I'm gonna start off with, we had a major water line project that our guys did out on East Road off of the chlorine pipe there. The guys did an outstanding job. It took about a week to get it done, but they did a really nice job, and I'm really thankful and glad, and it shows what kind of workforce we have, and it was a nice job. And they worked from start to finish, and they just finished it actually up yesterday with a couple little things that they needed to clean up today. So they did a wonderful job, and hopefully the paper picks it up to let the guys know that the mayor and the residents out on East Road are blessed to have those guys go and make sure that new water line is in, because they were getting 3 and 4 and 5 breaks within a week to 2 weeks at times. So now everything should be good and good to go. The other major thing that I wanted to bring to council attention is myself and the mayor, we met with the engineer, W. Quicksaw, and their structural architect yesterday. He's putting hopefully some good estimates on the cost of the roof and also some recommendations, because part of the issue is, and we did talk about that, that we're in that cold part of the time of the year to go and put a whole new roof on or whatever we may do. So as soon as we get that, I'm sure the mayor will bring it, that report back to council. The other thing is the funding for the roof, okay? Working with Omega to see if we can get USDA funding. And I think I did bring it to council's attention that our demographics and median income, and so we could probably get, we're hoping more, but at least up to 55% grant in whatever additional cost to the roof. We'll probably have to either take a loan or whatever we decide on that. We're also gonna look at whatever else type of funding that could be out there through the federal, state, or any other type of funding. So I have to do a narrative for Omega so they can put the application together to send in to the federal government for the funding. The other thing is the Alumni Road and the school road. I am working on funding with Bellamar to try to see if there is some type of funding through ODOT to hopefully fix, if not the whole road or so, if not the areas that are mostly damaged, that is a major concern there. That would be both Alumni and School Road, the two areas where they did slip. Because in that funding, and however it is, we may have to give up possible federal funding for streets in town that, just the way it is, you have to give up to get. So, we'll look that over, and I will do measurements and things so I can provide that information for Bellamar. I'm going to have a meeting with the gentleman from Bellamar that's going to be handling that. I believe it's Friday, 9 or 10 o'clock. And we'll probably go and look at the areas and discuss some things there. So we're trying to work every angle we can to see if we can get funding on a lot of these projects. The other real quick thing is the mayor met with the Lions in the Park District on the issue. I think the mayor brought up that the Lions Club would be looking into putting a pickleball court there where the basketball court area is. Some of their concerns would be that we're going to look at that and get some costs and so on. There's some lights and so on that are out there around the basketball court and the baseball area in the park. We're going to look at that and see what the situation is, why the lights are out or whatever. Also, we're going to look about putting up some additional cameras, or if there are a couple cameras there, Vincent, I'm not sure, they're not working, so I'm going to get a hold of Chris Baker and talk to him, because I think Mac worked with Chris in the past on the park with the cameras. So I'll be getting a hold of Chris on that. The mayor just wanted to bring it to council's attention, and if just give me a nod or an approval, go ahead and look at this cost and see what all it takes to maybe get that done. I think it's going to be a good safety issue for the whole park, even if we do put the pickleball court there. So if you can just give me an A or an A, or say, okay, and go ahead and do whatever you need to do. The second most important thing is that we have our note issue coming due of the $5 million. Meeting with Jeremy, and I do want to say one thing, Jeremy, and I appreciate you showing up and we talk. What we have done with the upgrade with our water plant, and where we are right now, starting to move faster and quicker. Where we are, we got quite a few things finished, but we still have some more things to do in our water system to make sure everything is done, brought up to standard, flush, And I'll give Jeremy a few minutes, if it's okay, Madam President, somewhere, just to reiterate some things. We talked about last year, when we borrowed the $5 million, we would like to borrow $6 million. But the way the statutory laws are, you can only borrow $5 million under the debt limitation in a year. So sit down with Jeremy and talking to our engineers and the companies that are doing our projects, we believe that if we can get the blessing of council and increase the note up to 5.5 million, that should take care of all the projects that we would like to do. And I handed a list out, it's on everybody's desk, and I'll just go over it real quick, of our final projects, and we believe right here that these projects will complete pretty much everything we wanted to do and bring everything up to new status, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing, the Walnut Pump Station, and this is something we're going to need to do, because they're all old, and we like to bring them up to new, and it'll just be better for everybody in that whole area and pumping the water where it needs to be pumped. And that would be to replace the motors, pumps, and put all new controls, and that would be controlled by our SCADA system, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, over the next 3 years, we talked, Jeremy and myself talked and had a meeting with the mayor. We talked about we got so many wells completed, fixed, motors replaced, filter screens all changed, pumps, everything all done. And our water output has been extremely better than what it's been in the past. So because of cost, and before, I think, Jeremy, we had a 5-year or more replacement plan and cleaning of our wells, we decided to move them back a little bit. Instead of 5, to do them in a 3-year rotation, 2 to 3 wells every 3 years. And the last 4 wells we have, that's 2, 3, 4, and 12. What we would like to do is next year, do 2 more wells, and then the next year, that 2026, do 2 more wells. So in that 3-year rotation, you won't have all of them up at once, because that's going to be a bigger cost. So that rotation will help us to be able to fund having these wells cleaned, and any motors or pumps that need to be replaced. So that's our next big project over the next 2 years. That money will still be there to be able to do those projects. Our high service pump room, all the high service pumps have been replaced, correct? All the big ones, except for the number one that we'd like to do, and that is put new controls and to put a high service pump in there. And that number 1 is not as big as the others. It's kind of like a backup if one of the other ones go down and we need to pump a little more additional water. We have that smaller pump to be able to pump more water out there. Install the last 2 transfer switches to the well fields. And I'm gonna let our expert talk a little bit about that, Jeremy, because I'm not knowledgeable about the transfer switches in the well field. That helps that's transferring over to the generators, correct?
Yeah, we have transfer switches for each tower that we have, the power goes to the wells in the tower. So the transfer switches, all they are is when the power drops out, it transfers the power over to our backup generators, so we're able to run the wells to pump water to our plant. We did replace one a few years ago, it's brand new, and then we had 3 other ones that are older, that are original to when we had the generator installed. So they're probably back from, I don't know, 2003, 2004. So what we were talking about was possibly getting those upgraded and changed over, because essentially if we can't get water to the plant from our well field, then we can't get water to the citizens. So Andy is correcting us. We're trying to do every step, with starting with the actual wells. We cleaned and replaced everything in 4 wells now, and like he said, we're gonna try to do 2 next year and 2 after. The big thing was that I talked to Andy about is all of our wells were different size pipe and motors. So as high drilling's coming in, we're making everything universal, so now it'll be all the same size pipe, same size motor. That way, if we have an issue with one of the wells, we're gonna have a pump and a motor on hand to where we can call the guys up. They can come down with a rig and they're able to pull the motor and everything and drop a new one in, and we're only down a day instead of, a week or 2. So, yeah, that was another big thing that we wanted to take care of. Does that answer that, Andy?
Yeah,
Okay.
one other thing then, if you have anything you wanna throw in, especially having them on the shelves. I mean, sometimes it might take a week, might take 2 weeks, might take longer. With us being able to have one that would fit each one of those wells, we have it there, maybe we might even purchase 2 and have it ready in case something happens. We're not down, like Jeremy said, for more than a day or 2. And that's a good thing for our citizens and for our whole system. The last upgrade, all the electrical system throughout the whole water plant and well fields and the pumping stations. You understand that plant was built back in the 90s, okay? And nothing really has been upgraded since, correct, Jeremy, on that?
No, the issue we were having is when we were changing out when we were putting VFDs in for the high service pumps. Essentially, the VFDs are new, they're gonna control the motors now. We were having issues with the electrical, and we were trying to pull blueprints and stuff with the plant, but a lot of the stuff that we have is not, it's like as-built, it's not like the final, so nothing's matching up with what we have as far as blueprints and what's in the plant. So, I talked to Herb and them, and I'm gonna try to have them come in and help us trace and do some of the wiring inside the plant, because some of the stuff we don't use, some of it's just not safe. You have 220 going to 110, going through 110 outlets, that's just not a safe practice. So, I talked to Andy about possibly getting those guys to come in and go through the plant to help us do the electrical things in the plant, and then also, you have some electrical issues in the well field. We don't have disconnects for the towers. So if we have an issue in a tower, we have no way of cutting the power off. So we're essentially putting our hands in live, it's live wires. We have no way of cutting the power to the whole tower. So I talked to Andy about getting disconnects for the towers. That way, if we have to change out a breaker or a starter or something, we're able to hit the disconnect and the guys, and we're able to work and do things safely instead of doing it on a lot of wire.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
One thing that was on this list that I took off is our Sunset pumping station. Because it is outside the city of Corporation and being out in the rural area with trees falling down, power lines going out, depending on storms and whatever, it might take a longer time for that power to get back on. We did not want that to happen because the likeliness is more out there than maybe in town where AEP can come in and take care of it pretty quick. So the cost for a generator, and we had to get a new, bigger generator because the pumping station has all new upgraded pumps and so on and so forth that are bigger and powerful, more powerful than what they were. We needed a generator to match that. So our generator's gonna be matched to that, and it's gonna be hooked up to a propane tank. So we don't have our guys going out and filling that generator up with gas and sitting there and waiting as it goes down to fill it back up. So this will kick on right away, is that correct?
Yeah, it'll have a transfer switch as well,
Yes.
so
So-
it moves power.
It will not, the water won't stop flowing. So everything we're doing is putting this to where we need to be, pretty much brand new, from start to finish throughout the whole system. Right, Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay? And one thing I do want to say before I stop, which I will here, because Bob's starting to do that. Look, I want to thank, especially Jeremy, because he's he's educated me, a lot. We're blessed to have him. We're blessed to have the other two maintenance guys, which is Donnie Headley and Don Mew, because they've been working hand in hand together with these companies coming in and showing and helping them out to get things where they need to be. So I want to just let council know that we are blessed, okay, Jeremy? I want to thank you for that, and the mayor wanted me especially let you know, thank you for all you're doing to help move this fast, because it has been moving faster than what we thought, correct, Jeremy?
Yeah,
So-
we got a lot done.
And like I said, hopefully we'll have a nice day next week. Maybe we can get some of the council people, maybe have 2 shifts to see if they want to come down and see some of the things we did upgrade already and finish, so we can take a little tour of the plant and see where we are. So we still have a lot of work on the SCADA system, but it is moving along too. It's going to be moving as more plant things in the plant are being finished, so that's all moving in the right direction. We're going to be good. And one thing I wish Jeremy would let us know that, the council know, and I think I did bring that up, with the one well we just finished with motors and pumps and with the new filter screen and everything, will you tell them how much more flow that it's giving us, that we're probably gonna be able to produce more water than we originally were?
Well, just the 4, well, we still have 4 wells to do, so, when we turned all the wells on the other day, we were running them, we were close to 4 million gallons a day, which is pretty good. So right now, we have number 14 well, which is one of the wells I just got done recently, so, they really haven't had to run that well too much. It's mostly like a low flow backup well, in case you would need it to, raise up the clear well or whatever. I'm pretty happy with it. I think once we get the other 4 wells done, we'll be where we need to be. So that'll be a blessing that we won't have to worry about, water coming into the plant.
Madam President, I am finished.
Any questions for Mr. Sutak? Thank you, Mr. Sutak. Auditor, Mr. Regis.
I'll be short.
Sorry, Jack. Wait, give me, can I have that, my last, I was
Yeah. Just a couple fast things. First thing is, the exit audit meeting that I told you all was gonna be a Zoom meeting. I got back with him, and he's gonna do the same time, he's gonna do face-to-face meeting here at council chambers. So, one of them all get on computers and gather up around places, we'll be able to talk to him right here in person.
To the 22nd.
Yeah, same time, same channel, everything's gonna be the same.
What time is that?
10. When it,
I believe so.
that was 10. Okay,
22nd this month?
yes. Yes,
Next week.
week from, actually, a week from today.
Please stand.
Yeah, 22nd. My math was a little bit off, I missed a couple of days of school there. Couple of things, I give the statement of our cash position, the month to date, just some things I want to note that first of all, I want to note the police department and the emergency squad, Fund 47, the police department, how good they're doing this year, and a lot of good jobs in management, and keep an eye on those, and it's a lot different last year when we were sweating this time of the year, so those two are going to be, the only couple of places we're having a little problem in. If you look at water, we're projecting about a $5,700 deficit. Hopefully we never come out, we got a check from Tri-County, got a couple other checks due in, we're hoping to get those in. A couple of things, we started out there with a $390-something thousand carryover, and with some things happening this year, and we had to quit, even if we were able to continue selling frac water, we would have been about $70,000 ahead of where we're at now, so we've been finishing in the black instead of worried about finishing in the red. So there in the sanitation, it's still nip at top, month to month. I think we're gonna end up okay there. It looks like we're gaining a little ground. We had that cleanup, so the ground we were gaining set us back a little bit, but I think we will come out there. So everyone I'm worried about, and I mentioned briefly to Andy and John today that we're gonna keep an eye on water. We talked about it a little bit today, probably talked about it more. So that's the only one. If you look at your Eastern Iowa Regional Income Tax line, though, we have issued 2 different checks to them. I think, I'm gonna estimate off the top of my head, but it was a little over $200,000 they had in both checks combined. They got in their payments due to them. We had that done, and with this year, we're looking at closing down the books for this year, right around December 6th. We used the following week, a few days to get stragglers that have to come in. That the same as last year. We'll be shutting down the normal operation, but any emergency being done in our office, we'll meet those and take care of them. So we have plenty of time to get ready for the end of the year. So that's pretty much all I have. Didn't realize the end of the year is that close already, but another year shot.
Any questions for Mr. Regis? Mr. Usher?
Mr. Regis, what fund exactly was that you were talking about that you have a little bit of problems with it, we're gonna have to make sure we watch those?
Water.
Water operating.
Water operating?
Yes, it's Fund 101.
Oh, I see, okay, water department. Thing.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate what Jack was saying.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few water breaks too, and that's why we did that whole water line out East Road. We had, 4 to 5 water breaks within 2 weeks. So that's overtime, because usually when those water breaks occur, it's not through our normal work day. So it's usually in the evening, and that's where overtime comes into play. So we're hoping we catch up a good bit now that we get that fixed and so on and so forth. So hopefully we won't have as many water breaks or none at all, we hope. So that'll cut down on our overtime.
Yeah, because you figure that East Road project they just did, you're probably looking at maybe $13,000-14,000 they spent for gravel and pipe
Yeah.
and the labor what they did. But see, if it comes in $40,000, you still save probably over $100,000 at the minimum by our guys doing it.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
you know, you don't just look at the expense, look at the savings there, because it's, if we had to contract that out, you're probably talking
Absolutely.
over $100,000 project, that's it. So, you know, hats off to those guys and getting it done, and get a job like that, nobody gets hurt, they get it done in a fast pace, gotta be proud of them,
Yeah.
okay? That's it?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Regis.
Thanks, Jack.
Law Director, Mr. Sticker, anything?
No report.
Police Department?
Good evening. I'm in place of the chief tonight, so couldn't be here. He just asked me to let you know that we did lose another officer who's a K-9 handler. We are in the process right now of, we have another agency that is interested in this K-9, but they're also interested in a vehicle. So we've been talking with Mr. Sutak and everything on trying to set up a price for that vehicle. Now they're interested now, so we're kind of hoping we can move pretty quick on this. And then that'll take us down to just the one dog, which I think that will be good for now. I don't know if you came up with a price or not on that.
Talk to the mayor. I think he wants to sit down with you and Jerry and talk a couple ideas he has also on selling that and some of the things he wants to talk about.
Okay, so,
We'll get to that. We're gonna get that ready.
yes. So he was just waiting on that
Yeah.
in order to move forward
Hopefully we
with
get
it.
that this week,
Yes.
okay? So we can move on that and so on. I think we got, I got the number from Jerry that he got from your office, on the value, what's left and what we paid for it and so on.
Right.
We just wanna make sure that what the taxpayers' dollars paid for, we get what our fair share is getting back.
All right.
And I'm gonna bring my opinion, Jack, but, you know, whatever you think too, and the chief. I would like to see if we do sell that vehicle, whatever, if we can put it into a equipment line item for a new vehicle. That's my thought.
Well, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
Work out
Okay.
later.
Yeah.
But that's all he wanted me to let you know. Any questions? You got for him?
Mr. Tran.
What department's interested in that?
Yeah, it is. They, cause there's actually a couple, but this one I think it would really fit with. So we're just kinda keeping it hush hush right now.
Okay.
But, I think it could work out for him, work out for them really well. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll come out and see you, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. Tran.
Thanks.
I don't think there are any other officers here, so we move on to reports of committees. Finance and audit, Mr. Humphrey.
No report.
Street, Mr. Rogers.
No report.
Ordinance, Reverend Aguirre.
Yes, we received a ordinance concerning the position of the deputy auditor. The mayor gave it to me last week for it to possibly be revised, where it will only be paid when it was needed. So, how we put it. And so if it's needed, it would be if they found. So we want to just give it to Paul after revised.
So you're gonna call an ordinance meeting, or you're gonna go, I just wanna talk to him, or you're just gonna?
Talk to Paul.
Okay, all right. Sewer sidewalk, Mr. Humphrey.
No report.
Safety, Mr. Shreen.
Nothing to report.
Service, Mr. Shreen.
Nothing to report.
Cemetery, Mr. Nunn.
No report.
Public relations, Mr. Rushman.
No report.
Code, Ms. Ragland.
No report.
Real estate and utility, Mr. Hooker.
No report.
Income tax, Mrs. Armstrong. Are there any committees or liaisons that did want to report that I'm not mentioning? Excuse me. Then that will take us to a hearing of any resident relative to any matter that may properly be brought to the attention of council. Any citizen would like to speak, please approach the microphone, give your name and address for the record, and limit your speaking to 5 minutes.
Thank you. The name is Richard Ward, 915 Virginia Street. First of all, some concerns. I see some recent closings of businesses throughout the city of Martins Ferry, Monaco Scrubs, Custom Creations. There's a thrift shop all on 4th Street, plus a clothing and collectibles shop on Hanover Street that recently closed down. Plus we have PNC Bank has been, the building has been vacant for quite some time. Staffudo Chevrolet property has been vacant, as well as the Dollar General, Keith Summers Law Office. I was wondering if you might want to consider the possibility. I know Council Chambers named after Don Mars did an excellent job in that position. And think maybe that the city might want to consider the possibility of getting someone in that position again, possibly.
How do we fund it? How do we pay for it? We got, we're under Bellamar for like the development of certain things, but how do we fund Don Myers' part? If you go back when we were there, Jack was mayor and auditor, I was auditor. Poor Don Myers worked in the utility office to cut their budget because we didn't get any funding for our division development, which is a good thing. But, you know, you come up, you tell us how we're gonna fund it, because you're gonna need somebody you're gonna pay them for a pretty good wage and benefits. So the sad thing is, and this is why we don't have it, and this is why we flopped over to Bellamar, is there's no funding.
Well, they did have one, for years had 2 directors of development.
And we got
There
funding
seemed to
for
be
that.
a lot of
The
productivity.
funding amount is gone, okay?
Okay.
So we don't have that funding. Now, we would have to take it out of the general fund, is that correct, Jack? We'd have to probably take it out of general fund?
Yeah, or they would pay for it on projects they did probably, but you gotta realize, when we had those guys, there was a lot of federal money floating. When
Absolutely.
the federal money dried up, their jobs dried up, so that's when we, I got the unfortunate task when I was mayor that we had to eliminate all those positions, and it wasn't fun, because
No.
they had them for years, and the federal money just, they pulled the plug.
There are a lot of
It's done,
programs,
but we're done.
there are a lot of programs that were
I
financed,
understand.
they had end dates, and that's.
And just to throw that out there, you know, be an investment, and I remember, like I said, in the past, how successful things were, so. We're going through some tough times now, not just Martins Ferry, I mean, it's all over.
Well, nobody has a development director that I'm aware of up and down the river, because there's no funds.
But a lot of them, they do have an administrator, a city administrator, a village administrator, somebody in that position who helps
Same,
with
that name is the same thing as the city service director, water superintendent, et cetera. That's what a city administrator is. Same thing we have here in the city of Martins Ferry. It's not a development director, it's an administrator.
Thank you. Also too, regarding the Austin Masters situation, how's that progressing? I haven't heard anything about it for a while.
I think, the mayor touched on that last meeting, and I don't think there's been a major change, that's all under ODNR. They've been down there, I know, I've seen the trucks, I know they have been there, so, it's continuing, but I believe this part is like 9 months, this isn't going to be complete for close to a year, maybe not a whole year, but
Okay, still moving in the right direction?
moving along.
Okay, very good, thank you. Also too, any information regarding, I know Belmont County land banking, I mean, they had taken down quite a few structures in the past. I haven't heard anything about what they've done in Martins Ferry this year. I was wondering if they had done any work, taking down any buildings here in the city of Martins Ferry this year. I'm thinking maybe they've
They have had,
other areas.
they've taken one building down so far this year, that was on, South Zane Highway. And we have a bunch of buildings that we submitted that's on the list for land banking to go through the foreclosure. It takes a good while for that, and then they have to vote on it and so on and so forth. So we did have a building or so torn down. Bellamar tore a couple buildings down within this past year. We have a couple buildings that are on the list for Bellamar to be torn down. It's just the time to get these torn down, get the contracts, go through all the litigation and so on and so forth. It's just not the fact you push a button and they tear the houses down. There is a time frame that they have to go through, litigate it, go through foreclosure, et cetera. So it's, you know, we got a lot of houses that we put up and submitted to land bank. Blair submitted so many to land bank, Bridgeport. Everybody is given every dilapidated house that they can to land bank. You know what the problem is?
So,
They don't have the money. If the state would just happen to give $10-20 million to Belmont County to tear these houses down, I'm sure land bank would be happy to get these houses torn down.
yeah, I know in years past, there were several every year in Martins Ferry.
It's all money.
Not quite as many this year.
Like I said,
Many this year.
let's go back to the original land bank, okay, since we're on this. Originally, it was Martins Ferry, Blair, and Bridgeport is where the land bank started, okay? And that's when they got state funding. I think it started out either $1 million or $500,000. The only areas, because of the demographics of the median income, that's where it was located to do. So when you only have 3 entities with X amount of dollars to tear down with no major new money coming in, now the money that was there, they changed the demographics of that. So now you got the whole county with all the different entities that have dilapidated buildings being submitted. There's not enough money to tear down. So they're picking and choosing, and actually what they're doing is, if you're an end user, you're gonna be put up on the list, because what they wanna do, land bank does not wanna own the properties. They tear them down, they don't wanna own them. They wanna put them back into tax collection. So if there is a landowner next to a property that could be torn down, and they're interested, that property gets a better opportunity to put up on the list, because they want that to be purchased by somebody, put it back into to collection, to have that person be able to take care of the property, et cetera. So there's a lot of issues there that Kathy does a heck of a job. I gotta praise her on that. what she's doing. But again, you can't just concentrate on one area, it's all over the county.
Right, I think we'll probably leave that one there.
Thank you. And any information regarding the former vending machine place on 4th Street? Seemed like there's been a lot of work, they've done on the windows and things, they've done a lot of work on
I talked to the mayor about that, and he said it's a private business, and that's all he knew.
the, oh, okay, so I guess we'll have to wait and see on
We'll
that.
wait and see.
Okay, keep our fingers crossed. Any information regarding Halloween trick or treat this year?
I'm just gonna bring that up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Since you asked, I'll go ahead and say, Halloween's gonna be on Halloween on the 31st, from 6 to 8 p.m.
6 to 8 p.m.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe there are any other citizens out there. Larry, did you want to? Otherwise, we'll move on to reading consideration of ordinances and resolutions.
A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
The council's heard the reading of the resolution. What would be the pleasure of the council? Mr. Humphrey.
Suspend the rules.
Motion by Mr. Humphrey that we suspend the rules. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Schram. Is there any discussion? John, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hunker.
Yes.
Mr. Ashman.
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong. Yes. Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Nyman.
Yes.
Reverend Agnew.
Yes.
Mr. Schram.
Yes.
By your action, the rules have been suspended. What would be the further pleasure of council? Mr. Ashman?
Make a motion, we pass the resolution as read.
Motion by Mr. Ashman that we pass the resolution as read. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Rogers. Is there any discussion? If not, have a roll call vote.
Mr. Ashman.
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong. Yes. Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Nyman.
Yes.
Reverend Agnew.
Yes.
Mr. Schram.
Yes.
Mr. Hunker.
Yes.
And the resolution is declared passed. This next piece of legislation we just received and will require the suspension of the 72-hour period.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Mr. Hunker motion that we suspend the 72-hour rule for reading. Second by Mrs. Armstrong. Any discussion? No, have a roll call, please.
Mr. Hunker.
Yes.
Mr. Ashman.
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong. Yes. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Nyman.
Yes.
Reverend Agnew.
Yes.
And Mr. Schram.
Yes.
And we can now read the 72, or we can now read the ordinance.
An ordinance authorizing issuance of $5.5 million of water system improvement bonds in anticipation notes, Series 2024, first renewal, to renew notes originally issued to pay part of the cost of water well upgrades, water plant upgrades, pumping station upgrades, and other related costs and improvements, including but not limited to motors, pumps, controls, generators, filtration screens, transfer switches, electrical upgrades, computer control systems, heating and dehumidifying systems, contract tank repairs, and compression units, and declaring an emergency.
Council's heard the long reading of the ordinance. What would be the pleasure of council? Mr. Schram? Suspension?
Suspend the rules.
Motion by Mr. Schram to suspend the rules. Do I have a second? Second by Reverend Anthony. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Schram.
Yes.
Mr. Hunker.
Yes.
Mr. Ashman.
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong. Yes. Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Nyman.
Yes.
Reverend Agnew.
Yes.
By your action, you have suspended the rules for reading, or on the ordinance. Will be the further pleasure of council. Mr. Rogers.
Make a motion that we pass this read.
Motion by Mr. Rogers, we pass the ordinance as read. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Ashman. Is there any discussion? If not, I will roll call.
Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Nyman.
Yes.
Reverend Agnew.
Yes.
Mr. Schram.
Yes.
Mr. Hunker.
Yes.
Mr. Ashman.
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong. Oops.
The ordinance is declared passed. believe that's all the legislation we have, so we'll move into miscellaneous. First under miscellaneous, before I let something speak, is the mayor asked me to remind you, and for the press, that the street sweeper will be running the first 2 weeks of November, and there will be tickets for people who are parked on the wrong side of the street. So the public should follow the signs that are erected, for which side, at which time, just like always. But it'll be the first 2 weeks of November, and there will be tickets issued.
To give Mr. Shutak permission for that proposed pickleball park's gonna be the lighting the cameras.
Thank you.
What you're gonna be doing to my lights.
Yeah, they were asking if I could look into it and see what the cost would be. Okay.
Motion by Mr. Schramm that will give permission to the Merit Service Director, to look into expenses for cameras and lighting. The pickleball court to be donated by the Lions Club. I have a second. Second by Mr. Hyman. Is there any discussion? And we'll have a roll call vote.
Mr. Schramm?
Yes.
Mr. Hunker?
Yes.
Mr. Ashman?
Yes.
Mrs. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Nyman?
Yes.
Reverend Agnew?
Yes.
And that motion is declared passed.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman, appreciate it.
Don't forget to give me your committee requests. If you have anything you would like to be changed, please see me by the end of this meeting. Get these out. Mrs. Armstrong.
I make a motion to adjourn.
A motion by Mrs. Armstrong, Deputy Adjourned, second by Mr. Hunker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And we will adjourn. Salute to the flag.
Paul.
Huh?